In both work and in life generally, we don't get mentored well and we are shitty at mentoring. This makes sense because doing mentoring well is hard and nobody teaches us how to do it. Let's start with a definition so we understand what the fuck we're talking about. Training is teaching someone how to do a well-defined task. You can train someone how to operate a tool, a piece of software, how to create a compelling PowerPoint, or a financial projection spreadsheet. Training should be pretty objective. Given a fixed goal and a fixed context, the good way to do a thing should be standard and non-controversial. The definition of mentoring is more vague, but in my opinion, mentoring is about all of the gray area shit in between the stuff that gets covered in formal education and training. The gray area shit is much harder to define concretely and even harder to solve with any consistent formula. Its fuzziness makes the best choice solutions and even how to define the real problems very subjective. Subjectivity makes the gray area shit very resistant to the development of standardized templates and frameworks. This gray area shit, then, falls into the domain of figuring it out on your own or trying to learn via informal advice, aka mentoring. At this point, there's at least one active viewer, probably that fuck Bruce, who just pulled a sizable lint ball out of his belly button and held it up to impress his roommate / sometime romantic partner while thinking to himself, I, Bruce, am normally pretty sharp, but right now I have no idea what this salty old prick yelling at me from my phone means by gray area shit. Fair enough, Bruce. Gray area shit, which can greatly benefit from good mentoring, includes but is not limited to shit with a lot of uncontrollable dependencies, shit in any way dependent on us having an accurate understanding of our own personalities, strengths, and limitations, and finally, shit involving any other people. As you can see, like sadness and new gambling debt in Cleveland during the final minute of any Browns fourth quarter, this gray area shit is literally everywhere. So how can we get better at mentoring people related to these gray area domains? First, cut the formality and talk transparently and honestly. Establish said here stays here, snitches get stitches, ground rules, and stick to them no matter what. Second, get self-aware and self-reflective. Both the mentee and mentor need to get comfortable with honest self-reflection about your own personalities, strengths, and limitations. Until you are there, most of the advice will be flawed. A gregarious mentor advising a confidence-challenged introvert can work, it can even be great, but only if both of you are conscious about that critical difference and how that should be reflected in the advice. A lot of successful people struggle with this as mentors because their ego is grounded in believing their success is wholly attributable to their brilliant planning and execution and not their inherent traits or advantages bequeathed by their spawn point. Whether by nature or nurture, people can be on a wide spectrum of confidence and anxiety, and pretending that this isn't true can seriously inhibit the value of mentorship. And finally, if the mentor is prescriptively telling the mentee what to do, they're doing it wrong. Someone qualified to mentor today is likely talking to a mentee who's maybe 5, 10, or more years behind them. Presuming that the mentor is not a hapless dipshit, there is certainly a ton of hard-won wisdom in those 10 years of experience. But the mentor always needs to remember that at best, the mentee is going on a somewhat similar journey, not the same journey. In 10 years, the world is different. Whatever domain you're in has evolved. The challenges, tools, expectations, culture, and climate may be very different. From the mentor's perspective, remember, you're giving somewhat loose advice, not instructions, and I recommend asking a lot of questions rather than making assumptions about the mentee's current context and circumstances. For the mentee, it can be challenging because you may not know what good or bad mentoring looks like. Good mentoring likely includes trying to help you work through a situation you're currently experiencing by asking you a lot of questions to establish your context and considerations before the mentor gives their opinion. A great indicator of bad mentoring is few questions with consistently prescriptive advice. That's all I got for now. Please join me next time when I try to reconcile my intense love for humanity with the fact that people are the source of all problems. Basically, greasy little bipedal factories of misery. Namaste.